People always ask, where did we get the name Blue Water Climate Control? When a Navy ship casts off lines, exits the harbor, and loses sight of land, that's blue water sailing. It takes a team of people to do that. Tireless work, focus, and attention to detail. So much of starting a business is just like that. After it's done, you get filled with deep satisfaction for accomplishing something. And it's quickly followed by, now the real work begins. We're Blue Water Climate Control.
Hello, everyone. It is 2MC of Buck and 2MC. Alexis is tied up right now. She's got conflicts. She may be able to come in, but she also may not. So Alex Carter's hanging out in the background. He's going to hang out with us tonight. So obviously I'll take your questions. We'll talk about everything going on with the Lady Vols, and hopefully Alexis can be here. But if not, Alex Carter, thank you for producing, and shout out to the people and let them know you're here. Well, where'd Alex go? He's doing like 4 shows. He may come back on, so I'll keep talking. Renee says hello. Tony's here. So we got people coming in. Tennessee continues to make news for Lady Vols basketball. Another new coach, Joy McCorvey. She served as the associate head coach at Florida State in this past year. Another stellar hire by Kelly Harper after Samantha Williams came in 2 weeks ago. So in 2 weeks, Kelly Harper completely redid her coaching staff and picked up 2 of the best recruiters in the country, 2 coaches who can scheme, game plan, scout, relate to players. They're both in Knoxville. I believe Coach McCorvey arrived either today or yesterday. They've met the team. Team likes them. So it's good timing because the team is getting ready to go into a break. As everybody knows, classes have ended, exams, kids will go home for about 3 weeks. And they can start recruiting, not yet on the road. That's June 1st, of course. But they are able to watch kids, evaluate them. There was a bunch of showcase events in April. They can watch them online. Renee Suter said the coaches on the recruiting trail now, technically they're not out. They can't be out on the recruiting trail yet, but they are on the recruiting trail, if you put it in quotes, in terms of are they evaluating prospects? Absolutely. The next showcase events will be in July. That's when they will actually, for the first time, and I guess that would be 16 months, be able to watch and evaluate recruits in person, which they've had to do everything through video feeds of games or Zoom. And no coach wants to evaluate a player like that. You want to see, what is that player like in timeouts? What is that player like on the bench? What is that player like with their teammates? How did that player do in the next game and the game after that? So it's going to be an absolute relief for coaches across the country to be able to get back out. And Tennessee will do so at full staff. The advantage of the NCAA opening up in-person recruiting as of June 1st is that kids can make visits. They can make unofficial or official visits to campus. And that will be the huge difference. As I mentioned here before, Brooklyn Miles will meet Kelly Harper for the first time in late May when she gets here. They have never met in person. Everything has been online. Tony Anthony Hill said, what does Dye bring to the team? Alexis Dye brings, 1, experience, 2, the ability to score, the ability to rebound, and an old school, incredibly tough attitude. She is someone that can help Tennessee right away. She's undersized, so-called, as a forward at 6'1". So for Tennessee, she could probably be in that 4 spot, 3-4 spot, but you can't keep her off the glass. She's a Pat Summitt type of player in terms of the rebound belongs to her. The biggest thing is that it's another experienced player, which you want as a veteran team as you can get. Also, she can help out inside. And you need, post depth. She can play. That's where she played for Troy. She also she does not shoot threes, and that's okay because Tennessee's got 3-point shooters. You got freshmen coming in who could shoot. I expect Jordan Horston to elevate her 3-point shooting. You have Ray Burrell, who was a 40% 3-point shooter last season. Tess Darby, Jess Rennie. There are kids on the roster right now, young ladies, not kids, they all seem young to me, who can hit threes. What you get with Alexis Dye is somebody who can get to the rim, and her mid-range game is just watching her clips. I mean, she can flat out shoot the mid-range ball. She can find those gaps man-to-man in a zone and shoot the ball. The mid-range game is a lost art, and she has it. So she is really, really going to help. What does Kim Mulkey, this is from Karen Vogel, coming to the SEC do for the league? It certainly puts a bigger spotlight on it. I mean, the SEC is already an incredible league, and now you've got Kim Mulkey, a Hall of Fame coach, coming in to join the SEC. It's a big spotlight. It's a tough league, night in and night out. I've always said, I'm biased, but I think it's the toughest league in the entire country, because of the depth of the league and how the lowest team in the league can knock out the top teams in the league on any given night. Truly, people say that. It's really true in the SEC. You're going to be in a battle every single game you're in. It also brings a lot of attention. It's something that, I mean, the SEC gets a lot of anyway, but now you bring in a very high-profile coach with a very high profile in Kim Mulkey, and it's even more attention for the league. Obviously, another coach who's well known in women's basketball circles, Gail Gestinkors, who was a head coach at Duke and Texas, is now an assistant with Kyra Elzy at Kentucky. So that's a significant upgrade for Kentucky staff to bring in someone like Gail Gestinkors, who has proven she can coach and scout and do the things she needs to do. Adam said, do you think we're recruiting Camila Cardoso, or are we done for the season? Sorry if anyone's already asked. Adam, nobody's asked yet. I have not been able to establish any contact between Camila and Tennessee. And like I've mentioned here before, I think sometimes when a player has entered the portal, that player's already got an idea of where they're going. They may have 2 or 3 teams, and they already know. I never say never with recruiting because things can change, but I'm not hearing any particular contact between Tennessee and Camila. I mean, some early reports said UConn or Auburn. I wouldn't count out LSU to get involved with that, with Kim Mulkey there. As Beth said, is Lynn Dunn still with Kentucky women's basketball? Beth, I believe she is in like a staff position. I don't think she's been an assistant coach. I think she's there in a staff capacity, support staff, I believe. I haven't checked lately. Kathy said, do you think Taurasi will return to LSU now? I don't know. I don't know. I can't give you an answer. One, because I just don't follow LSU that closely like I do Tennessee. I think all players, I mean, they got to meet with Kim. They got to sit down with her. They got to work that out. So I think every player, like when Tennessee went through this 2 years ago, you'll meet with the head coach. You'll hear the options. A big unknown now is who follows Kim from Baylor. There could be teams that want to stay coached by Kim Mulkey, so they will leave Baylor and go to LSU. And with the one-time transfer waiver, there will be no sitting out, so they can play right away, which is a huge difference. So it will be interesting to see who opts to stay at Baylor, if anyone opts to transfer from Baylor to LSU. Obviously, Baylor's in the process of hiring a coach right now, and that's not easy to do. As particularly as we're going into May and you're looking for your head coach. So I haven't heard any news of players transferring. They're probably, waiting it out to see what's happening. But on the Tennessee side, recruiting is elevated. I'm not saying anybody's committed yet, but it has elevated tremendously with the addition of Samantha Williams and Joy McCorvey. For those who don't know, Samantha Williams was a longtime recruiter at Duke and Louisville. Big part of their success. She was a head coach at Eastern Kentucky for 2 seasons, got that team on track. And then Kelly came calling because she had an opening on her staff. And that, I mean, to get a sitting head coach and a person of Samantha's caliber who can recruit the way she recruits, it's just, I mean, it's one of the greatest thefts of Kelly's career, probably, to get her to Knoxville. And then Joy McCorvey, what considered one of the most promising young coaches, and served as associate head coach at Florida State because Sue Simrau was on a leave of absence to care for her ailing mother. So that you've got 2 people who can recruit, and we saw it immediately. And since Alexis isn't here, Alexis can't. She is tied up with other things. She can't make it tonight. I know. I was just asked where my sidekick's at, Doris. She can't be here tonight. Alex Carter is in the background, and he can pop in and say something anytime he wants. He's toggling between shows he's producing, I think. And the difference, 2022, Tennessee's already offered to 2022 kids that were not previously on the radar, which is just the impact of Samantha and Joy already being here. Talasia Cooper, I believe I pronounced that right, a 6-foot guard out of Turble. I believe I said that correctly. Turbeville, South Carolina. It's south of Florence. If you ever have driven to Myrtle Beach, you're familiar with Florence because you go through it. And then another player, Tania Latson, a 5'8" guard out of Atlanta. And then offered, this is a player that had been on Tennessee's list, Amaya Joyner, 6'2" forward out of Farmville, North Carolina. She's been offered. And then a 2023 6'3" combo guard. I don't know how players are getting so big now, but she's a 6'3" combo guard, Olivia McGee out of Louisa. I believe I pronounced that correctly, Virginia. So the recruiting, it's the players that are suddenly on Tennessee's radar that elevated very quickly in the last 2 weeks. Let's see. Mike said, how many do we think we look to add in 2022? Because of the numbers, if you look at the roster numbers and what is also in the class of 2023, I think you're looking at 2 to 3. And so, yeah, Tennessee's gonna need to be. They're gonna need to get great players, but they're also gonna have to be. They're gonna have to narrow down that search because you don't have a lot of room at this point. Now, I realize the transfer portal can change everything, but since these players will be signing in November, the transfer portal is not coming into play at this point. So it's and Justine Passat, don't forget about her, the 6'4" sharpshooter who can drain threes from 5 feet behind the arc, is already committed and reaffirmed her commitment to come to Tennessee. I checked in with her father last weekend to ask, because when you do have coaching changes, particularly assistant coaches, because assistant coaches are the ones who are actually doing the majority of the recruiting in terms of talking and communicating with recruits. And she said, and her father said, she's on board. She wants to bring championships back to Tennessee. And like I said, she's a 6'4" kid that can shoot from the arc, well beyond the arc. William has said he's an hour away from Louisa. I think I'm still saying that all right. He said that I pronounced it correctly, so good. Beth said Nell Fortner's from Texas. Any chance she would go home? Beth, I'm not hearing Nell Fortner's name involved in this search right now. I think she's quite happy at Georgia Tech and where she has gotten Tech to be. The name that kept coming up was Joni Taylor at Georgia, but Ball Out Media, as anybody who's on Twitter today knows, that they quashed that rumor. It's she's happy at Georgia and staying there. Yeah, Kathy, no, you don't want to lose. Justine Passat is coming. Her father reaffirmed it. And no, you don't want to lose her. I'm sorry Alexis can't be here, but because she's not here and because she's a former player, I can talk about recruiting. So that's kind of a benefit for Alexis not being here, but I'm sorry she's not with us. I don't think I'm missing any questions. I'm looking. I also want to shout out our sponsors. Definitely. I got away from that. I got so busy with questions with obviously Blue Water Climate Control, OrangeMountainDesigns.com, the Tennessee Tap House, Alexis Hornbuckle Basketball, and Just Pass It, Learning Made Simple. That's tutoring to get you ready for college. So, Alex, if you're there, say hi. Can you hear me, Alex?
I am right here.
Here he is.
Hey,
Alex.
hey, everybody.
Alex Carter is the producer of our show. We introduced him before, but I wanted everybody to be able to say hi to him and see him. There he is, wearing a Braves hat. You can imagine how we get along. We get along perfectly now.
Yeah.
Alex, what do you think? What you said? There's a lot of news breaking. Obviously, football commitments, basketball commitments, Tennessee new assistant coaches. What's sort of your take on Tennessee right now, and what the future looks like?
I think it's on the upward trend. I think with the new athletic director, some people may have not liked that hire, but he turned UCF into what they are today, and I have a lot of faith in him. I hated to see Coach Fulmer go, but with all the things that happened with the violations and everything with football, I understand that the powers that be had to do what they had to do. But, men's basketball and women's basketball are both exciting right now. Women's basketball is definitely on the climb up. I think Coach Rick Barnes with the men's has done a great job, kept them consistent. Just got to get to that next, make a bigger run in the tournament. Baseball right now is doing great. Best it's been since DeMonico was there. And softball, of course, they had the COVID problems like we talked about earlier, but as long as the weeklies are there, I think the softball will remain a very consistent and winning. So I think right now, there's only really one sport that's really struggling, and I believe that's football. But I'd love to see all the sports doing well. Men's tennis just won the SEC, so there's a lot of good things going on right now at the university. So,
yeah, I told people, football, they're going to struggle. I mean, you've got a coaching change. You're dealing with NCAA issue investigation you've got to resolve. But it sounds like they're going to be entertaining. I mean, I'd much rather see a team lose 50-35 than 35-6, and nothing's happening. And I'm not saying they're going to lose like that, but they can. It looks like they can score points. That quarterback room's incredible. A little bit off topic. What a full quarterback room. It'd be interesting to see how that shakes out. Speaking of softball, Ashley Rogers obviously had a good weekend against Georgia. Ashley Morgan is the SEC Player of the Week against Georgia. 6 of 10, 3 doubles, 6 RBIs, 1 home run. Callie Turner, just a sophomore. Everybody knows Ashley Rogers is, the ace pitcher, but Callie Turner, just a sophomore, is coming back around and getting back into form. She got wins over South Carolina and Georgia. And then sophomore Kiki Malloy. It's the night of the NFL draft. So if the name Malloy sounds familiar to you, her father, Lawyer Malloy, fantastic football player at Washington, long career in the NFL. Her mother, Claudia Malloy, they actually met at Washington, All-American track star at Washington. And Kiki has 32 stolen bases, and that's the most since Raven Siobhan had 41 in 2013. So she's got a bat, she's got speed, and she can certainly play the field in the outfield. So just a fun team to watch. They're going to Auburn, I believe, 3-game series starting Friday on the road. It's SEC Network Plus, so you'll have to look at it, watch it that way. But it's they're an entertaining team to watch, and they had a COVID pause, and you just don't know right now how that affects a team. We saw how it affected Lady Ball basketball team, particularly that second one. They will make up that series, sort of. They're going to have a doubleheader at Mississippi State on May 5th. So if you want to catch up with some midweek Lady Ball softball, there's a little bit of SEC play. What is Amanda Ayala? Karen, she had a pretty serious ankle injury from the play I saw, and I think she'll be back this season, but she definitely not back right now. I think she needs time to heal that up. Hopefully she will be back maybe postseason. It's hard to believe the season is the regular season is coming to an end pretty quickly. And if you have, ankle injury, they're not easy. They're pesky. Those are painful injuries. And they can take a while to heal. Sometimes you need surgery. Sometimes you just need time. Depends on the degree of the sprain. When you sprain an ankle, the ligaments stretch, and they stretch. And depending on how much damage is done is the degree of the sprain. But as people say, injuries are it's unfortunately part of sports, and it can definitely hurt a team, particularly when you lose a player of her caliber. But they've certainly, if they can get the pitching and the bats all time together, they had that game where they crushed Georgia, won 2 out of 3. I know everybody wanted them to win Sunday. They showed a lot of fight coming back down 8-3, but then lost in extra innings. So it's just like Alex was saying, it's just a lot of good sports going on right now at Tennessee. And that's good for everybody. Just need to get football back. For those who are just getting here, we already talked about the additions of Joy McCorvey and Samantha Williams. I'm mixing metaphors here, but Kelly Harper, my God, that's a grand slam. To lose 2 assistant coaches, one, obviously Jennifer Sullivan became a head coach at FAU, and then Lacey Goldwire left to pursue other opportunities at other schools. No word yet on her next destination. I had speculated maybe Arkansas or Oklahoma, but there is no official movement there yet. Anytime you've got to you got to change your staff in April, you got to move as fast as you can because of recruiting. And when Kelly first got here, she got hired, you're doing everything as quickly as you can, and then she could take her time a little bit more this time. I think Samantha Williams, I don't think she had to spend any time thinking about that one. And everybody was asking me, when's the second coach getting hired? I'm like, well, Kelly's got time here. She doesn't have to make this one right now. When she got hired before, you had all those April showcase events going on. You are moving as fast as you can. You couldn't attend these events. You could only watch them on the video stream. So, and that's not hard to do. A coach can sit there and watch them at home, even though they're not seeing what they want to see. They want to be there. So Kelly took her time, and I'll give her credit for stealth moves. She apparently had Joy McCorvey in here for an interview, and while people knew she had somebody in, nobody knew who. I think she snuck him in under cover of darkness or something. She likes to keep what she's doing close to the vest, and then when it's time to go, it's time to go. So just absolutely two outstanding coaching additions to the staff. And we're going back to the injury of the softball injury. Donna Hairston said they need a safety bag at first place, period. I agree. They've got to change where the players are running, because this is the second time Tennessee has lost a player to a serious injury on a collision going to first. And I agree. They need to look at the running lane and how the player safety needs to become a bigger issue right now. Kathy's Hunter Rao said, I like sneaky. I do too. I mean, it's fun trying to track what's going on. As media, you're like, man, this is making me work. What the heck's going on here? But it was worth it to hear that she had gotten Joy McCorvey. Just outstanding young coach. And the biggest thing is both of these coaches' ability to relate to the players very well and because the assistant coaches, as y'all all know from Pat, the assistant coaches are your buffer to the head coach. You spend more time with the assistants than anyone because they're working with you in workouts or on the court or groups of who's coaching who. You'll go in the office and you'll hang out with the assistants. The head coach is everywhere. The head coach is a CEO and probably has 12 things to do that day and will be in and out. So your relationship with the assistant coaches is so key as a player. And that is really good to see that these initial introductions with player and staff have been very good. If you're not on Twitter, you have to follow Samantha Twitter and Instagram and TikTok because she is hysterical. She put up one today about, she does these little skits in her post, and she put up one today. I believe it was Ray and Jordan Horston and Tamari in this, and they were talking about like they're all like she was a player. She was in the group too, like she was a player. Hey, we're gonna meet up and go and get some shots up, and then you could see Samantha walk away from the group, and then the camera froze and just her and narrowed in on her, and it said went to the mall, didn't get shots up. Next game, I think it was shot 0 for 20 with 20 turnovers and 6 air balls. I mean, there's a lot of comedy in there, and that's her TikTok Thursday. So she understands how to reach players. And I mean, the other thing, I'll be honest, that kind of social media, recruits are noticing this. They want coaches that they can relate to. So it's fantastic that they got both of these coaches in here. Kathy said Jordan Horston knew Coach Sam from the recruiting trail. Yes, she did. Coach Samantha recruited Jordan Horston to Louisville, and she ultimately picked Tennessee. So she's already very familiar with Jordan, with Jordan's family. Because she was at Louisville, there was a lot of overlap with the players. So neither one of these coaches either are coming in here needing to get up to speed on these players. They know them. They've seen them. They're fully aware of Tennessee and how they play. They're both obviously coming out of Power 5. And even though Samantha was coach at Eastern Kentucky for 2 years, that's not that long, and she's fully aware of what's going on in the Power 5 conferences. How is Marta and Green coming along? That's William Wink Smith. William, I started thinking, how long has Kean Green been in ACL rehab? Because to me, this whole last year feels like 5. It's like last December seems like 2 years ago. She tore that ACL in mid-December? So she would have had surgery at some point in January. I mean, she's only 4 months into what is a 9-month rehab. So Kelly said she's meeting all of her, the target goals and the rehab, but she's still got a long way to go before she is not going to be full go this summer based on that timetable. She has got, you got to make baby steps with that surgery. So I would expect we would know a lot more about where she's at in the fall, but in terms of where she at with where she's supposed to be, she's doing well. Marta, the last I saw, she was still on her scooter. She did have foot surgery, as we know from the NCAA tournament, that she did not play in it. I don't know what a foot surgery rehab is. My best guess is going to be 4 to 6 weeks, somewhere in that ballpark. So she's right in that time period too of still got a ways to go before she can get back on the court. William said, I think that's the reason we got Dye. Green may not be 100% by the season. I mean, and even if she were 100%, you don't want to you're not going to ask a post player, particularly one coming off an ACL, to go like 35 to 40 minutes a game. I mean, that just, you're particularly to start the season. You ease back from that injury. So yes, Alexis Dye can provide help inside, and Emily Saunders, I mean, the best thing she could do is just have a monster summer and make that sophomore to junior leap, because she can help Tennessee. She's got the ability, but you have to have depth at every position. We saw that with Tennessee at the NCAA tournament. It looked like a deep roster, and then injuries just gutted everything. I especially look forward to a healthy Jordan Horston, who we know dealt with injuries and COVID, and that's why this whole last year for me was a pass for every player, because we just do not know what toll COVID took, whether they had it, whether they were quarantined, whether they were where they had to be isolated. It was just such an odd year and such a difficult year. Jordan Walker, sometimes people forget, she committed, decided to transfer last January, and then picked Tennessee, and then got here in August. She had no off season with Tennessee at all. So she's going to have her first full off season with Tennessee, and weight room and strength and conditioning, though she's clearly, college conditioned, but all that is so valuable to have that extra time in the gym. So I had said all along, when people asked me, how is Tennessee going to do? I kept saying year 3 is where you will see the biggest step up. They got ahead of themselves in year 2, in my opinion, particularly under the circumstances. But with COVID, it's hard to read much into any of it. But I think year 3 will be one of I think we'll see another step. And Kelly clearly understands where she wants to go. And then with the additional members of her staff, she has considerable help to get where she wants to go. Tony Anthony Hills, can you talk about the new recruits in their game? Tony, I assume you mean the 4 freshmen coming in, and they are all expected to be here. They should arrive that Memorial Day weekend. First day of summer school is June 1st, so they usually come in a couple days ahead of time and get their parents to bring them in. We'll talk about the guards first. Brooklyn Miles, that's the player I mentioned, will meet Kelly in person for the first time when she walks on the campus. She is a guard with speed on speed on speed, like Shannon Bobbitt fast. She could absolutely fly. Excuse me, I need some water. She's a little bit under the radar in terms of recruiting trail, but a lot of kids in 2021 got caught up in that they didn't get to play their state playoffs. A lot of kids suddenly had no basketball to play, and then they didn't get their final summer of AAU ball, so a lot fell off the radar. So Brooklyn Miles she can help Tennessee. All of these freshmen, I will say this, they can compete right away. They can help Tennessee right away. Kaya Wynn, the combo guard out of Brooklyn Miles, is a point guard, but also can play off the ball. Kaya Wynn can play off the ball, is another track star who can fly. She can help Tennessee probably immediately, too, particularly on defense. She's a big guard who can keep people in front of her. Now, I'm not putting pressure on these kids to be superstars right away. They are freshmen, and they need to be. Sorry, my cat totally took me off the screen. They are freshmen, and they need to be brought along. Tennessee has for too long had to take freshmen, throw them right on the floor, and get them in. And that can hurt a player's development and confidence, even because you're having to do too much too fast. Then you have Sarah Puckett and Caroline Strickland. They're the 2 forwards out of Alabama. They played on the same AAU team. They played different high schools in Alabama. Both can shoot. They can shoot the 3 very well. They can score inside. They both 6'2", 6'3". They have size. They are committed players. That's the one thing about all 4 of these freshmen coming in. They are driven to play basketball. Kelly wanted gym rats. That's who she's going to sign is players she does not have to ask to get in the gym. And both of them can help inside. They can play that 3-4 because they have the ability to shoot from the arc, but they can also post up. And Kelly has 4 players coming in who can help everywhere Tennessee needs help. They can provide help at guard, they can provide help at forward, they can provide help inside. Karen asked, will Kelly add another coach? She's got 4, so no, in terms of assistant. You got John and Joy and Samantha. So with support staff, that can sometimes change over the course of the summer is coaches, and I'm talking about internal office staff. Sometimes those could be changes, but on the court staff, no, she's at max. She's got four coaches. William Wink Smith said, I can't wait to see TK and Jordan make that jump. Yeah, William, I agree. That sophomore to junior year is the jump. That is where you really see kids get better. Freshman to sophomore, suddenly everything slows down a bit. It starts to make more sense. They don't look like their heads on a swivel trying to figure out what's going on. That sophomore to junior year is when they elevate their game. We saw that with Ray Burrell. So I agree. Tamari Key has got to be one of the most slept on post players in the country. She could be a game changer, absolute game changer. Excuse me, I needed more water. The other good thing about Jordan Horston, Samantha Williams knows her game. She recruited her. She knows what Jordan can do. And I think a healthy Jordan is going to be a different Jordan. And and like I said, Jordan Walker, you get her with a full summer on campus. Everything is coming together. If we can please keep this pandemic under control. I know we're trending in the right direction, but let's everybody just still be safe. Do everything you can, because I want live sports, like live, like fans in the stands and the excitement and everything going on that we're used to with 10,000 people at Thompson Bowling Arena. I should talk about our sponsors. I keep forgetting to do that. I get talking. It's amazing how much I can talk to myself, even when I'm talking to y'all. OrangeMountainDesigns.com. I am wearing Pat Summit number 12 shirt, definite dozen. Always back Pat. Tennessee Tap House, Blue Water Climate Control, Alexis Hornbuckle Basketball. Please take care of our sponsors who take care of us. In fact, I need my heat and air service to get ready for air conditioning. So Blue Water Climate Control, you can expect to hear from me. Karen said, Asa, what do you see for Emily? Emily needs a monster off season. She's got to get stronger, footwork. And she also, if you can take that step in the summer, she can help Tennessee. The summer is where basketball players are made. And Emily she's got size. She knows how to play basketball. She came to Tennessee because she loves Tennessee. If she can take that leap right now, that would be so good for Tennessee. Kathy Hunter said, talk about Ray and her ESPN ranking. You at invitation to USA basketball camp. Yeah, I mean that helps a lot. A player's confidence is such a key to how they play and how they feel about their own game. Even though she didn't make that team, that was a stacked roster. I mean, I think there's several outstanding players that didn't get a spot on that team, but you get to compete against the best. You get to compete with people who are your peers at a USA basketball training camp. That is invaluable experience. Personally, I get nervous when they go off to USA basketball camp because of injuries, but like they said, you can get hurt walking down a flight of stairs. So, and then her ESPN ranking, I think she came in 24th. Top 25 players, college basketball players to watch. Those kind of lists are always good conversation points. I know Tennessee fans would be like, well, don't you think you could have found a couple more Tennessee players? Of course, but that is something that you use it to get mad and earn your way on and make it so they can't ignore you. Make it so they have to pay attention to you. Renee said, did Emily and others in her class miss being on campus last summer? Renee, they actually all got back. The 2 incoming freshmen at that time, Tess Darby and Destiny Salary, they got here a year ago, last May. The sophomores were here, but nothing was the same. I mean, you couldn't do pickup. You couldn't work out as a full team. You had to have groups and your own basketball, and the locker rooms closed, and you had a little chair. I think they're still using the chairs at practice. I mean, like Kelly said in that story I did for 247, our protocols haven't changed. We're still in masks and doing everything we've done. We all feel more confident about this pandemic, but we are by no means out of this pandemic yet. And so everybody just keep taking care of yourselves. Be careful. Do all the sanitizing you doing. Keep your hands clean. Just let's do everything we can to make sure we have sports. Y'all know I'm a baseball fan. Next week is the opening of Tennessee Smokies baseball. I've got my baseball here. I've always got a baseball nearby. It's Tuesday. Cannot wait to be there in person at a minor league baseball game for the first time in 13 months. Yes, I will be taking precautions. Yes, I will be wearing a mask, except when actively eating or drinking. And I just want to get back to where we were. And I know all of you guys do too. I think I've gotten all the questions. I know the NFL draft is about to start, and people want to, there are some folks that want to watch that. I'm always curious, especially see where Tennessee players go. Trey Smith, outstanding young man. Can't wait to see where he ends up. I don't have an NFL team. I just tend to pull for teams that have Carolina Tar Heels or Tennessee Vols on them. So Karen said, which cat is making its appearance? That's Patches. She's going to be so upset when I go back to work in person because she gets to do Zoom meetings all the time. She's going to be, good thing we've got this show to do those. But that is it for me, unless y'all got any more questions. I'm sorry Alexis couldn't make it. I figured y'all be okay with just me yakking. As opposed to just not having a show. Yes, Alexis got caught up in an event. She can't get away. She can't get to her phone. I just heard from her on text. I was checking to make sure she was okay because she just said she couldn't make it. And ever since Alexis got in a car wreck, I get paranoid when she can't make something. So she's fine. Be back next week. We'll have more to talk about. Everybody, thank you for coming. Alex, thanks for popping in, talking about Tennessee. And you guys all have a good night. And as always, back OrangeMountainDesigns.com, Blue Water Climate Control, Alexis Hornbuckle Basketball, Tennessee Tap House. And let's get back to normal. I just can't wait. All right, guys. Good night. Y'all take care.